Hi folks, welcome back. I was going to do a vinyl finds, turntable spinners sort of video to celebrate my getting my second vaccine jab yesterday. But then catching up on the VC last night, I saw that Mazzy had instigated a tag based on folk music, and as that's one of my loves, I decided to try and jump on that. Right, there's 20 questions to answer, so we better get on with it. Could be a long one, this one. Right, first question is, show a very early folk album, pre-1950s. Now I'm going to go down the same route as Mazzy and show this album, Woody Guthrie, a legendary performer. This is a 1977 album, but obviously all the material on here, which are his Dust Bowl ballads, was from the pre-1950s. So that's the first one, Woody Guthrie, and a legendary performer. Question 2, show an archival folk album or field recording. Well, the best I could do here, I think fits the bill, is this CD box set, the Anthology of American Folk Music, edited by Harry Smith. A very influential set of records, influenced Dylan among many others. Brilliant box set with a superb book describing every track. Along with, I think, what was probably the original booklet. There is a second volume, which I haven't got, unfortunately. We're only on CD, I think. So that's one that everybody who's interested in folk music should have in their collection. Number 3, show a recent folk album recorded after 2010. So I decided to go with the album Offa Rex, The Queen of Hearts. Now, Offa Rex are basically the American band The Decemberists, along with Olivia Cheney on vocals. And this is like a homage to the great British folk rock records of the early 70s, Steel Life, Airport, etc. You can get their version of Black Leg Miner, which Steel Eye did. You get Willie O. Winsbury, Sheepcrook and the Black Dogger, which I think Steel Eye also did. Superb album, actually, this is. Number 4, show your favourite folk album by a man. Well, not necessarily my favourite, but one of my favourites is Richard Thompson with his very first solo album, Henry the Human Fly. This is an excellent album. I think it's one of the worst selling albums of all time. This features brilliant songs like Nobody's Wedding, Poor Ditching Boy, Shaky Nancy, The Angels Took My Racehorse Away, The New St. George. Excellent stuff by a brilliant singer, songwriter, guitarist. Next, show your favourite folk album by a woman. And this is one of the greatest folk rock records of all time, electric folk records. This is Shirley Collins with the Albion Country Band and her album No Roses. Absolutely stunning album. I mean, the Albion Country Band is basically everybody listed here, which includes Lallan Mike Waterson, Richard Thompson, Maddie Pryor, Simon Nicol, Ashley Hutchins, Barry Dransfield, Nick Jones, Dave Mattox, Shirley's sister Dolly, and John Kirkpatrick. Brilliant brilliant album, particularly with for the song Murder of Maria Martin, which just stand out. Next, show your favourite folk album by a duo or trio. Well, I had to go with this one. This is Maddie Pryor and June Tabor with their album Silly Sisters. Can't remember what year this came out, but brilliant. Two of the best singers in folk music. They did a follow-up album to this a few years later, which I don't have on vinyl, I'm afraid. Superb duos. Next, show your favourite folk album by a group. Well, sorry, not to be... I'm being obvious, sorry. Going with Legion Leaf by Fairport Convention. Superb album. Particularly for songs like Tamlin and Matty Groves. Set the standard for electric folk. No wonder it was voted the most influential folk album of all time. Next, show an acoustic folk album. Well, I had to go with the great Martin Carthy and his album Sheer Water. This is a superb album, particularly for his versions of Lord Randall, I Was a Young Man, and particularly the stunning Famous Flowers of Serving Men. Martin Carthy, an institution here in the UK. Brilliant singer, brilliant guitarist. Excellent album. Next up, show an electric folk album. Well, I wanted to show something that's not UK and not American, because I love my European folk. So I had to go with the superb French folk rock band Malikon, and one of their sort of later albums, Le Vestiaire. Brilliant album. The main guy from Malikon was Gabriel Yacoub, along with his sister Marie, I think, is it? Marie, yeah. And on this album, which is probably about their heaviest, their most rocky, they're joined by Brian Gulland of used to be in Griffin. Brilliant album. So recommend highly any of their particularly early 70s albums. Next, show a live folk album. Well, I couldn't go through this without showing one of my favourite electric folk bands, Steel Ice Band. And this is their album Live at Last. I think it was recorded in 1978, I think, released. In 77, the violinist Pete Knight and the guitarist Bob Johnson decided to leave the band, and I think they were looking to split up, but they gave it one last go. They recruited ex-member Martin Carthy on guitar, and he brought along the wonderful John Kirkpatrick on accordion and concertina, which gave them a totally different sound from the one the band had previously. But they only came to do this one studio album, Stormforce 10, and one final tour. And this is the album resulted from the tour, Live at Last, and it's notable for me particularly for the track Montrose, about a 15-minute epic which never appeared on any of their albums. Superb track. So that was their swan song at the time, though I don't think it lasted long. By about 80, 81, I think they were back together, though without McCarthy and Kirkpatrick and gone back to the folk scene proper. Excellent. Next, show up to 3 folk record labels. Right. Oh, I'll show you this one. This is a 7 CD set of the great folk label from UK, Topic. Superb set with a great book inside, full of information, covers, pictures, etc. One of the most famous of all folk labels. Just move those up. Second, we'll show the transatlantic label, another of the major folk labels here in the UK. This is a sampler, Heads and Tails. They didn't do just folk. They had some rock bands like Stray and Peter Barden's Jody Grinding, but they put out albums by Bert Jansch, Pentangle, Ralph McTell, John Renbourn, Mr. Fox, the Johnsons, and many others. A major player in the folk scene. And being from Cumbria, I had to show the most famous of Cumbrian folk labels. This is the best of BBC Radio Carlisle's Folk Workshop, and it's on the Fellside label, which I think is out of Carlisle, I think. And it was run by Paul and Linda Adams, who actually appear on this album. Not a well-known label, but a pretty important one in this part of the world. Next up, show a folk record with a protest song. Bonus points if you show 3, one from the 50s, 60s and 70s. Well, I'm going to show the same album for all 3, but I haven't got anything from the 50s, so it's going to be 60s, 70s and 80s. I hope that's allowed, Mazzy. So what I'm going to show is this box set, CD box set, the best of Broadside, 1962 to 1988. And it comes with this excellent book, ring-bound book, with all the CDs. And what we have here, if I can find them, if you bear with me. Sorry about this. Beats of paper. So for 1960s, we have Tom Paxton with Train to Auschwitz, for Auschwitz. Obviously, obvious what that's about. We then have, for the, out of order this book, 1980s, we have Ewan McCall and Peggy Seeger with Legal Illegal from 1984. The protest song. And from 1976, we have Woody Guthrie's son Arlo with his song Victor Hara, for the Chilean singer-songwriter who was executed in 1973. So that's 3 protest songs from the one from the 60s, one from the 70s, and one from the 80s. And for the next one, show a folk artist who got blacklisted, I'm going to go to the same set. And we have the great Seeger with his version of A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall, the Dylan song from 1963. So that's that one. Where are we up to now? Question 14. Show a British folk single artist or duo. I'm going for the Northeast duo Bob Fox and Stu Luckley. This is their first album, Now's a Good'll Pass. This is a superb album, one of my favourites. I really love this album. Bob Fox is a popular Northeast singer-songwriter, and Stu Luckley was in the superb folk rock band Hedgehog Pie, plays acoustic bass. This is, like I say, it's superb. You've got great songs like Bonnie Gates Said Lass. You have their version of Reynard the Fox and Gypsy Davy. You have the row between the cages, excellent, and the superb, funny Sally Wheatley. A must for all Geordies, this album. Excellent stuff. Next, show a British folk band. Well, I've just mentioned them in relation to the last album. One of my favourite folk bands, Hedgehog Pie from the northeast of England. Excellent electric folk band. They did 2 albums, electric folk albums. Then they did a 3rd album with Dave Berland, which was more acoustic based. But the first 2 particularly are superb. And anybody who likes Fairport, Trees, etc., should own Hedgehog Pie albums. Next, show a folk rock album. So I've gone for it this time, rather than the electric folk, i.e. Traditional folk songs rocked up, I've gone for a contemporary band, and I've gone back to Newcastle yet again, which is where I went to university and where my love of folk music really kicked in. And this is this superb band, Lindisfarne, led obviously by the great Alan Hull. And this is their most famous album with their most famous song, Fog on the Tyne. But there's also their other major hit single, Meet Me on the Corners, on here. You've got January Song, City Song. All Right on the Night, brilliant album. And a great fun band to see live. Next, show a folk song covered by a rock band or singer. Well, I'm going to go with a track. I'm not going to show the band's album itself, but I'm going to show this great compilation, The Electric Muse, Story of Folk into Rock. This is the original vinyl 4 LP set, which was accompanied by a book. They did a second volume later on CD, and there's a new book and new volume coming out next month, I think. Well, the one I want to show on here is on the, bear with me, on the 3rd LP, we have a version of John Barleycorn, the great folk standard, done by Traffic. They obviously named their album from that, the John Barleycorn album, obviously. And it's probably one of the best versions of that song that I've ever heard. Superb. So that's Traffic and John Barleycorn, a rock band doing a folk song. 18, show a Bob Dylan song covered by another artist. Well, I'm going to show you a whole album, and that's this superb album, Lo and Behold, by Dennis Coulson, Dixie Dean, Tom McGuinness and Huey Flint. And this is, like I said, all Dylan songs produced by Manfred Mann, and you get songs that weren't Dylan had not released at the time, I don't think. Songs like Eternal Circle, Lo and Behold, Let Me Die in My Footsteps, Open the Door Homer, Lay Down Your Weary Tune, Don't You Tell Henry, Get Your Rocks Off, Death of Emmett Till, Odds and Ends and Sign on the Cross. This was released, what year was this? 1972. Highly recommend this for any Dylan fans. Lo and Behold by Coulson, Dean, McGuinness and Flint. Next to last, show your favourite folk album cover. Struggled with this one a bit. There's loads of good ones, but in the end I decided to go with this one. The Prospect Before Us by the Albion Dance Band. And I just love that cover of Britannia with electric guitar and, you know, the post and pre-history farming scenes. And it's a superb album that, again, should be in everybody's collection. And finally, show or tell us your favourite folk song. I was going to go with a traditional song, but I decided to go for something else that is a song I've always loved, and I've got multiple versions by different artists, and I've never yet, I don't think, come across a bad version of it. And I'm going to illustrate it. I'm going to go back to the Broadside album. Oops, I think I've just lost. There it is. And we have Take Me for a Walk by Bonnie Dobson, more commonly known as Morning Dew. I first got introduced to that song, I think, from one of the versions by the Grateful Dead. They do superb versions live of that song, but Robert Plant's done an excellent version. I love the Nazareth heavier version. Jeff Beck group did it as well, and there are dozens of other versions, which, like I said, I don't think I've ever heard a bad version of that song, and I love that song. So that's it. That's my attempt. Hope you found that of interest. I'll hopefully get back and do another video soon. I've got to get my next krautrock one done sometime. Anyway, take care. See you all soon.